Hello, my name is Dr. Ashish Bhatia. I'm an associate professor of clinical dermatology at Northwestern University and in private practice in the suburbs of Chicago. And I'm a director of clinical research for Oak Dermatology, where we do a lot of device and laser research. And what we're going to talk about today is the ZEO platform, which is the multimodal platform by Cutera. So what's the advantages of having the ZEO platform in your office? Well, it's a really good entry device for practices that are new to aesthetics or brand new practices. And that's because it can treat a wide range of indications with a single device. It allows you to add hand pieces as your capabilities and desires to treat new things grow. And it gives you a lot of ROI for a single platform. And it's really one of the best built devices, like most of the Cutera devices are. They're solid state and they just work well. So what are the applications that you can do or conditions you can treat with the ZEO? Well, first of all, its signature technology is the Nd:YAG. So that's used for hair removal, vascular redness, laser genesis procedures, which we'll talk about, and veins and all sorts of other things. Then there's the ProWave LX, which is their hair removal IPL. Then they have the Limelight, which is their vascular and redness and pigment treatment IPL. And the Pearl and the Pearl Fractional, which are skin resurfacing devices. And finally, there's the Titan, which gives deep dermal heating to cause tightening of tissue. So every Cutera ZEO comes with the Nd:YAG, and this is what Cutera is known for, is the development of the Nd:YAG. This is the original high-powered long-pulse 1064 Nd:YAG. So what are Nd:YAGs good for? They have low absorption to melanin, but they can go quite deep. And so if you want to get melanin for hair removal, especially in a dark-skinned patient, these are ideal. There's moderate absorption of water, and so you can still do things like the laser genesis procedure, which will be absorbed more in the dermis and cause rapid turnover and remodeling of collagen. And so you can do a lot of things. Hair removal, like we mentioned, you can go deep and get vascular lesions or get superficial vascular lesions, and finally reach skin revitalization with the laser genesis procedure. It has a high safety margin because with the 1064, it's safe for all skin types. It also pre-cools and post-cools very efficiently because it has contact cooling, and that allows it to draw the maximum heat out of the skin and keep it cool while this very powerful laser fires and heats up just the targets. So contact cooling is the most efficient by far compared to spray cooling or forced air cooling. It can extract the most heat out of tissue compared to any other cooling method. So hair removal is one of the things we use our ZEO for the most. And you can treat all different skin types with this. It's safe. It's the safest wavelength for type 4 and 5 skin. And it's ideal for coarse, thick hairs, just like any other hair removal device. Like, as we mentioned, the contact cooling gives you a lot of safety, but it also makes the treatments very comfortable. And with the large spot size, you can move pretty quickly. The other thing is the way these devices are made, the ZEO calibrates with each pulse. So every pulse is consistently delivered and you know you're getting the energy that you want at the target. The Nd:YAG is also used as a vascular laser so you can treat leg veins, periorbital veins, blue, purple, or dark red telangiectasias, and even venous lakes and port wine stains. So it's very safe, very comfortable because it has that superior bulk healing. The gold-plated copper piece on this allows to extract a lot of heat out of the skin and keep the skin cool and comfortable. And it fires at up to 2 hertz, so you can do very fast treatments with this, pretty much as fast as your hand can kind of move along. And here we can see you can use different spot sizes to treat different size vessels. So the deeper the vessels, the usually larger they are. And so you'd use like a 7 or 10 millimeter spot to get the deep reticular veins. But if you're getting kind of medium sized spider veins, you'd use a 5 to 7 millimeter spot. And then for fine telangiectasias, you can use the fine settings at 3 or 5 millimeters. Laser genesis is one of my favorite procedures. I really didn't understand it or believe in it when I first heard about it, but what it does is it uses a rapidly pulsed 1064 to actually deliver bulk heating to large areas. It's completely non-ablative. It has no downtime. People are a little pink for maybe 30 minutes afterwards, and their skin goes back to normal. You can treat all skin types year-round with this. And this is one of our gateway procedures. If somebody comes in, doesn't know what they really want, they want their skin to look a little better, well, bulk heating their dermis does a great job of this because the skin glows after a while, immediately actually after the treatment, and they get some plumping, but long term, they get improvement of the collagen that's in their dermis. And this results in better tone and texture of the skin. So it's really composed of high powered micropulses that you just paint. You don't even have to touch the patient's skin. Then you bulk heat the areas, and we use like credit card size or post-it sized areas that we treat, heat up to a certain temperature, move to the next area. And this results in a very nice treatment. It's usually a series of treatments, 4 or 6 treatments, but they take very little time with no downtime. And so patients can go back on with their lives. Next, let's talk about the ProWave LX. You can see this is an IPL handpiece with a 1 by 3 centimeter sapphire window on it. And it's very fast, very efficient, has a 680 to 1100 nanometer bandwidth, and is twice as powerful as most IPL systems. So you get up to 35 joules per centimeter squared with this. And it is optimized to actually treat finer, thinner, lighter hair. Think like you do with an Alex laser. Very similar to that. It's safe for skin types 1 through 4, and you can select different pulse durations and different modes, and I'll show you that in a moment. And because of the contact cooling through the sapphire window, you get very efficient cooling and very comfortable treatments. Next is the Limelight. The Limelight is their IPL for global rejuvenation, and it's a 3-in-1 programmable device that makes it really easy to treat different conditions. So they're very fast treatments because of the large window. And you can very precisely control the temperature to increase the safety and comfort and efficacy of the treatments. So it makes this really dummy proof. There's 3 programs, A, B, and C. A is used for little redness, B is used for redness and solar lentiginous, and C is used if you just want to get rid of brown pigment. And C is usually the safest treatment you can use in darker skin types. It uses a long range wavelength, and you can get up to 30 joules with it. But what you do is you actually decrease the cooling, bring it up to 10 degrees centigrade, and that way that superficial pigment can be heated up sufficiently. The cooling is so efficient at the 5 degrees centigrade that it actually protects any superficial pigment. It won't allow you to heat it up. And so you really have to go to mode C or program C to be able to get those superficial pigments. But when you're doing deeper pigments or fine lines or fine telangiectasias or diffuse redness, you can use program A or B. Now let's talk a little bit about the Pearl and the Pearl Fractional. This is an epidermal and dermal skin reverse surfacing solution, and the wavelength is pretty unique. It's 2790, which is erbium YSGG, and it allows you the right mix of coagulation and tissue removal, so kind of the best of both worlds between a erbium and a fractional CO2. And what it does is the energy is absorbed in the epidermis and even superficial dermis, converted to heat, and it vaporizes that tissue. And you get some immediate visible effects, but you still do get a little bit of downtime like any other ablative technology. Most importantly, you get long-term effects. So the remodeling takes place. It starts at the day of treatment, but it continues for the next 3 to 6 months. So here's a patient with a lot of photoagings and lines and wrinkles. And so to go after these lines and wrinkles, we can target the epidermis for more superficial pigmentation issues, fine lines, and for global improvement. But then you can actually get down into the dermis and get those deep lines and rhytids and help improve that significant photoaging that you see. And you can combine these results in a single treatment with Pearl Fusion, which is the combination of doing the pearl fractional and the pearl fully ablative on the same day. Last, we have the Titan, and this is the skin tightening technology by Cutera. It targets water as its chromophore, and it heats at a depth of 1 to 3 millimeters. And so, really, you can heat up a lot of the dermis, denature that collagen by sustaining the temperature over 55 degrees centigrade and shrink that collagen. And allowing that epidermal contact through the contact cooling and this circular motion technique, you can keep the skin cool, which makes this treatment very comfortable for the patient. And here's what you see. There's a normal band of collagen, and that's what they are. They're these double helixes that are in the skin. And when you heat them to 555 degrees centigrade, you actually get contraction. Just like you see a piece of meat, when you heat it, it contracts. Same thing here. It contracts when it's heated, and you end up with shorter, thicker strands of collagen. That's what gives you the tightening. So that's the Zeo platform. Hope you get a chance to try this device out if you don't already have it in your practice. It is quite versatile, and as your practice needs grow, you can add more hand pieces. Now let's go ahead and take some questions. All right, first question we have on the Zeo platform is the Zeo platform a good practice to build my practice around? Well, yeah, if you don't have any other technologies, Zeo is a great start because you can treat all different skin types. You can treat the basic kind of bread and butter treatments that should be made available to all patients, like hair removal, skin rejuvenation, and even removal of pigment. If you can do that, you can treat more than 50, 60% of the things that walk in through the door. So it's a great platform to start with. And as your practice grows, you can add more hand pieces to make it even more versatile. Next question. What are the advantages of the multiple hand pieces which can connect to the Zeo? Well, the advantage is there's a lot of applications you can do with a single platform device. And so you can add hand pieces as you need them. You don't have to buy them all at the same time. Next question. Laser genesis is a treatment which can be offered on the Zeo. How do you incorporate this into your practice? Like I mentioned before, the laser genesis procedure is my go-to treatment. When patients don't know what they want some laser treatment, they want their skin to look better, but they can't afford any downtime. The way this treatment works is that you paint and you actually do bulk heating of an area, but you do it very gently. And that causes turnover of the collagen, improvement of the collagen, and even some help with some microvasculature. So you can improve the redness, the tone, but actually the quality of the skin, which patients can see and feel. It's really quick, and they can go right back to work after having it done. So it truly is a lunchtime procedure. You do need a series of treatments, usually 4 to 6, to start seeing results. We do use it for a lot of other things too, such as remodeling of scars and such. Next question. The contact cooling on the Zeo improves patient comfort. What other features do you like about the system? Well, obviously comfort is paramount. And so having the really efficient cooling, the contact cooling with almost all the hand pieces and being able to extract that great heat out, it keeps the treatments very comfortable. But the other thing it does is it makes them very safe because it protects that skin. And so the heat goes to your targeted chromophores, but spares the rest of the area because it's being extracted so quickly by that awesome cooling. It also makes hair removal a lot more comfortable as well. What other features do I like about the system besides the cooling? Well, I like this form factor. It's very small, compact, sits in the office and doesn't take up a lot of room, but it has a lot of versatility. It's kind of the Swiss Army knife in the office because you can use it for so many different things. And next is, why would you choose the ProWave LX handpiece over the ND Egg handpiece? Well, they're very different. So I need to have both of them in our practice because the ND Egg allows me to treat darker skin types and go deeper. The ProWave LX allows me to go really fast because it's a big sapphire size, and you can treat even finer hairs with it and slightly lighter hairs with it as well. So it functions a little more like an Alex laser for hair removal. And that's all the questions. So thank you for listening, and good luck with everything. Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Tall Humes. I'm a board certified physician in the United States, and today I want to talk with you about how I utilize the Zeo laser within my practice. When I opened my very first practice back in 2005, my first laser was the Zeo. Why did I choose this? I chose this laser because I was looking for a laser that could treat everything red, brown, wrinkly, and hairy, and I can do this with the Zeo. I still have my very first Zeo that I purchased back in 2005. It's running great, and I'm using it every single day. In fact, I love the Zeo so much that when I opened practice number 2, it was the very first device that I purchased for that practice. Why? Because of all the same reasons I told you before. I wanted to have the versatility that the Zeo offers. And then when I opened practice number 3, I also bought the Zeo as my very first laser for that practice. So if we think about it, what am I saying about this device? I'm saying that number 1, it definitely has a place in my practice. But why? Why? Because it is my workhorse. It is a laser that I run all day, every day. I'm able to treat a wide range of conditions, as I said before. It's an easy device to use, meaning that the learning curve for somebody new coming on, it's easy for me to train them on them and get them up and running. It's also a device that I feel incredibly comfortable delegating because not only is it effective, right? We want an effective device when we're talking about treating our patients, but it's safe. We have a really good device that's safe for our patients. It has good safety parameters, and we can still get the results. So the question comes up from other people when I'm talking to them is, well, is a Zeo still relevant technology? And my answer is absolutely 100%. Why do they ask this question? They ask this question because as new devices come out, right, we're talking about a device that I've had for 15 years. It's older than 15 years old, but I'm still using it every day. But as new devices come out, people want that new latest and greatest, which I understand. And sometimes it's a little bit sexy. But we really want to think about is what is great for our practice and will we go back to it? And for me, I always go back to my Zeo. Do I have other devices? Absolutely. And I love my other devices too. But when I'm opening and when I need something that's going to be my most versatile, well rounded, all in one box, I immediately go and think about my Zeo. What do I think about the Zeo, or how do I describe it? For me, the Zeo is all about that Nd:YAG handpiece. That's what it's built around. This Nd:YAG handpiece is going to treat vascular, it's going to treat hair, and it's going to do one of my favorite treatments, which is laser genesis, which I'll talk about in a minute. So is there a place for laser hair removal in my practice? This is the other question that comes up. And my answer here is, again, absolutely yes. If you think about laser hair removal, our patients who are coming in for their wrinkles, for their redness, for other conditions, they have hair that they want to treat. And I want to be able to offer the versatility or the well-rounded practice within my practice. So if I'm not offering hair removal, then I'm sending them off to somewhere else. So do I do hair removal? Yes, I actually do a lot of it. And I find it's the gateway to aesthetics. So sometimes you'll get patients who come in and they're talking about how they don't want to do anything. In fact, if you think about it, in 2005, when I first got started, we wanted patients to come in and we wanted to get their toxins, but they would hear that word Botox and it would be, oh, hush, hush. They'd be like, oh, I got Botox, and whisper it really secretly. But they were all willing to talk about their laser hair removal. They still are. Why? Because nobody really wants hair all over their body. They don't want to shave every day. So what do they want to do? They want to take it off so they don't have to deal with that. They don't want to worry that it's a nice sunny day, which you get a lot of in Australia, and that they can't go to the beach because they forgot to shave before they went to work. I love that I can treat men, women, I treat patients of all ages, and it's a high demand procedure. All of these treatments, or all these reasons, sorry, are why I like laser hair removal in my practice. What do I want? What do patients want? They want results. They want a treatment that has fast times, but they will get the results. They don't want to be with me for 3 hours doing their treatment. They want something that's safe, has minimal to no downtime, and they want to know that I can give them the results that I told them I have. In my practice, I use both the YAG handpiece, which is the Cool Glide handpiece on the Zeo, as well as the ProWave. But the ProWave is going to be my kind of workhorse of the laser hair removal. So I told you my Zeo is my workhorse device in the practice, and ProWave is my workhorse handpiece for hair removal because it's fast, because it's safe, because it's effective, and because it's not very painful for my patients. There is a limitation, which is that I use my ProWave for fits 1 through 3 patients, and sometimes on my fits 4s. But when I get into my darker skin type patients, my fits 5s and my fits 6s, that's where I use my Cool Glide Nd:YAG handpiece. What's good here is with my Zeo, I can treat all skin types. So I'm not limited when my patients are walking through the door by which patients I can and cannot see. Here we have a patient before and after laser hair removal using the Cool Glide, that Nd:YAG handpiece that we talked about. With this patient, you can see that they have a significant reduction in their hair after just 3 treatments. On this patient, what I love is that it's going to take us maybe 10 minutes per arm using that YAG handpiece. So it's a pretty quick treatment for our patients. And then underarms. Underarms are an area that patients come in all the time. It's frustrating to shave, especially for the patients who are shaving every single day. They don't like that 5 o'clock shadow that they get on their underarms. And with this treatment, whether we're using the ProWave or the YAG handpiece, it takes a matter of minutes. In this case, this patient was treated before and after with the ProWave handpiece. And when I'm treating a patient with that handpiece on their underarms, we're talking about maybe 2 minutes per underarm. So very quick treatment for them. They get great results and they love that. The same YAG handpiece that we are talking about for hair removal, we can also use for vascular. Why is this important? Because our patients will come in as you're treating their legs and they're getting rid of their hair, they start to notice or they start to tell you about the vessels or the unwanted vascular lesions they have on their leg. So they say to you, I have these veins, I really don't like them. And now you can treat them with that YAG handpiece. Because it's a long wavelength, this is a 1064, we're able to get deep into the skin in order to treat those vessels. I love this for legs, but we do also, I shouldn't say and we do also use it to treat vascular lesions on the face. Here we have a really nice result on a patient. This is before and after one treatment. This is a vascular lesion in the popliteal fossa, so right behind the knee. And you can see how well this works for patients. I do tell patients that they'll need 1 to 3 treatments for that area. Here you have another patient. This is using the 1064, that YAG handpiece, to treat the face before and after. And this is going after those discrete or individual vessels. We'll talk a little bit more about diffuse redness when we get into talking about laser genesis. Here we have a nice result on this young patient before and after one treatment. This treatment's going to take me about 5 minutes. And what I do is I have different pricing for that full face you saw before, which in my practice would be $325 for that one treatment, versus this, because it's a spot treatment, we call it, we would be $175. And here you can see a really nice result after just one treatment. I do also love the 1064 for laser genesis. Remember I said this is probably my favorite treatment that we do on this device. Honestly, it might be one of my favorite treatments we do in the practice, and that's because we can treat so many patients. We can treat all skin types because it's a 1064. We have no downtime. It is not painful. Our patients love it, and we do it for so many different reasons, which we'll talk about. These high power micro pulses, what we're doing is we're bulk heating for collagen stimulation, and then we're targeting the microvasculature as well. We're going after the tiny little vessels in the skin. What do we treat? We treat pore size, texture, fine lines, wrinkles, and redness. I love it for all of that. But also we can treat scars. So if a patient comes in and they have a scar they don't like and they're not willing to do a treatment with downtime, laser genesis is a great option. And then where we use laser genesis a ton is for skin health. So our patients come in, it's summer, it's the warm months, they don't want to do any treatments with downtime, laser genesis is our go-to. We also, not listed on here, use it for maintenance. So let's say we're doing a treatment on a patient, something like an ablative laser, and they've gone through this procedure and now we want to maintain their results. Laser genesis is a great option for doing that. Here we have a patient who we treated his acne as well as his acne scarring with laser genesis, and he has a great result. What are we doing here? We're using laser genesis to target the bacteria, the P. acnes, that causes acne, and then we're also using it to stimulate collagen. So here he is before and after 5 treatments. We've cleared up his acne, we've improved his acne scarring, and then this patient uses laser genesis to maintain or keep his acne at bay. I love it for that reason. So we've gone from him doing treatments every 2 weeks to actually treat his condition, and now he does maintenance about every 1 to 2 months. Here we have a patient with melasma. This is a patient of Dr. McRae's down in Texas. She met this patient and she looked at her and said, you know what, I can clear up that melasma. She did this with incredibly low settings. So she uses low settings on her laser genesis. She uses much fewer pulses, which is what I do in my practice when I'm using laser genesis for melasma. And she does more treatments. So you have to look at this patient and say, I'm not going to have this gone in 3 treatments, but I can get you a result. I will be honest with you, my go-to for melasma is picogenesis on Enlighten, but I love that I have the option to treat my patients with laser genesis as well. Laser genesis in my practice, as I've said, is one of my favorite treatments. Who am I using it for? All skin types, so a wide range of patients. I'm using it for pore size, texture, fine lines, wrinkles, redness. I am also using it for skin health. I'm using it for maintaining other results that we get. And so for my patients, I can use it on a regular basis. I tell them to come in about every 10 days to 2 weeks. Can I do laser genesis more often? Absolutely. But with my patients, they can't often get in more often. So about every 10 days to 2 weeks for their package, and then maintenance as they need it, depending on the skin condition that they have. The next handpiece I want to talk with you about is Limelight. So we talked about how the Zeo laser is an upgradable platform. So this is a box that we have our YAG handpiece, and then we can add on other handpieces. This is what makes it so versatile or such an easy device to have in my practice, and why it's become my workhorse or the most used device that we have. So the Limelight handpiece is the IPL handpiece on the Zeo. Not all IPLs are the same. I used to, when I first got an IPL, thought an IPL is an IPL is an IPL. And then I got Limelight. And what I realized is that Limelight is very high powered, which is great, but it's also versatile because I can truly treat reds and browns separately or in the same treatment. So it gives me a lot of options for my patients. I love that there's contact cooling because that makes it more comfortable for my patients, and it also makes it a safer treatment for them. It's an incredibly effective treatment. I have the 3-in-1 programmable modes. And what do I mean by that? That means that I can program in whether or not I want to treat vascular, I want to treat pigment, and what their skin type is. So I can really adjust this to my patient's need and customize their treatment. The other thing that's really important to me is that this flash lamp doesn't degrade. What do I mean by that? I mean that it is as powerful on the last treatment I do on that handpiece as the first. And that's important because when I treat my patients, I get consistent results, right? Consistency is important. If you think about it, when we go to restaurants, we go somewhere, and if their food is consistent, well, it obviously has to be good too, we get more excited than if we had a great meal there one time and it didn't work the next. I think about the same thing when I'm thinking about my lasers. In my practice, we use the IPL, our Limelight handpiece, all the time. It's safe, it's effective. We use it on our patients who are fits 1 through 3 and 4 with caution. The treatments don't take very long, 10 to 15 minutes max, even on a larger area. Sometimes, honestly, we feel like the treatments are so quick that we have to fluff it up, maybe give a little extra facial massage right before we do that IPL while we're washing the face, so we don't feel like we're pushing them out the door. The other thing is our patients love it. They get great results, and that's incredibly important to us. We treat a wide range of browns or benign pigmented lesions. We treat diffuse redness. We can treat discrete vessels with this. Remember I said we can treat reds and browns. We use it for poikiloderma. And when we're treating poikiloderma, oftentimes we combine Limelight with laser genesis to do that. One of the things we don't treat in my practice is port wine stains, but there are physicians out there who do treat port wine stains with their Limelight IPL. Here we have one of my patients. You can see before and after. We've improved the tone, so the browns on her forehead. Her wrinkles look better. Did we treat her wrinkles? No, but by evening out her skin tone, her wrinkles look much better. Another one of my patients who looks incredibly young in this picture, but she's actually not as young as she looks, but that freckling, those brown spots or benign pigmented lesions make her look really young to start with. Here she is before and after just one treatment. We did go back and do a second treatment on her. She got a great result after that first. We did a second treatment, but I don't have a follow-up picture for you on that one. I love that we can use this off the face, on the neck, the décolleté, and especially the hands, right? Oftentimes our patients come in and their face looks great, but their hands are looking a little bit older than they want them to. IPL is a great way to even out that skin tone. So I'll use my Limelight IPL, I'll treat their hands, and you can see how it's easy to get great results. And this is after just one treatment. Who's a candidate for the Limelight IPL? Well, these are my patients who are fits 1 through 3 and 4 with caution. There I'm picking and choosing. In my practice, I do have other modalities like picogenesis where I can treat my darker skin types. But if I do have a patient who's what I'd consider a light fits 4, who has some discrete lesions, or who has some vascular lesions I want to treat, I will consider them for Limelight IPL as well. I recommend a series of 3 to 6 treatments. Most of my patients, I'm starting them on 3. I'm telling them to do these about 4 to 6 weeks apart, and then maintenance as needed. They're going to still go into the sun. They're going to make new brown spots. They're going to have new vascular lesions. So I tell them that they can come in and get those treated as a maintenance treatment as well. And then like I said before, I do treat off the face. I'll do neck, décolleté, arms, hands. The one area I don't treat as much is legs just because of the large surface area, but it can be done. To me, combination therapy is one of the reasons I love my Zeo, right? Because I can combine treatments, right? When I'm doing that, I'm talking about treating color, texture, tone, and I want to tighten up the patient's skin. Remember we talked about earlier that with this device, I can treat things that are brown, red, hairy, wrinkly, right? I can do that even better when I combine my treatments. Let's talk a little bit about what that looks like. Our goal of combining treatments is that we can get even better results. So the treatments we just talked about, great results. But if we combine them, we get even better results. Why? Because as I've said before, and you've probably heard me, we sell outcomes, not services. So when a patient comes in and they have browns and reds and wrinkles, I want to be able to sell them the overall outcome they want, which is younger, healthier, cleared looking skin. So how do I do this? I can do this by combining things like my Limelight with other lasers on here, like my pearl laser. So here we have a patient who, this is her before, she's one of my patients. She's almost 40 years old. She looks great to start with, but she doesn't like her skin discoloration. She also started talking to me about how she has wrinkles she doesn't like. So she came in, and here she is before and after an IPL, so her Limelight IPL, and a pearl laser. The pearl laser is the ablative laser that's on the Zeo platform. This is a great wow result. She actually called me up and she said, I look so good, you have to put me on your website. Don't go check my website right now. We have no before and afters. But when we did, she was on there, and she's a great example of what we can do. You saw this patient earlier. You saw what she looked like when we treated her with laser genesis to clear up her scarring. But what you didn't see is how she came in and she saw me first. This patient came in, here she is, she's got obvious acne, right? She's hiding, covering her face, hiding from the world, and all she cares about is her acne scarring. And what is the first thing we say to this patient? We're like, you know what? We definitely have to clear up your acne first. So what we can do with this patient is we can do a combination of peels and laser genesis, or we can do an acne laser treatment on her in laser genesis. In her case, she was treated with a peel. So here you can see before and after. So that's 1 month between the before picture and the first after picture. And then we treated her with 5 laser genesis treatments that were done every 2 weeks. And that overall was about a 3-4 month period for her to get cleared up. But there's a huge difference for her, especially with that combination therapy. So in summary, why do I love my Zeo? I think you've heard me say it, because of the versatility, because it's my workhorse, because I can treat so many different conditions and so many different patients, and honestly, because I get great results and my patients love it. So thank you very much. It's been great talking with you today, and I hope that you are staying safe and happy.